Pep Talk UK, Pro Beez, somewhere in London. I won't say where.
Mad.
Location.
Send location. I find you. Send location.
Not applicable. I'm delighted to be joined after the whole Christmas celebration.
Shit, I'm still hanging. I'm still celebrating. Fucking bitches.
Time to get back to work, brother.
No, listen.
Dean Whyte, what's happening?
Man, the gym, man, feel like hell, to be honest. You know, long time I ain't really punched a bag either, so I did some nice bag work. There's a fake little engine in there somewhere still. Can't manage to do a nice bit of work in there. Punch out all that liquor. Especially that brown liquor, man. That brown liquor is a menace. This whole Christmas time, man, it's been me and the bed recovering and more recovering. But I've had a great time. What can I say? Yeah,
no bottles of Magnum. Over this Christmas.
Of them, you know, but I tell you what I was drinking Don Julio. You know, tequila, Don Julio.
All right.
Thing. And then beer, Cavossier and Hennessy. Yeah, I've been out there in them clubs hard, boy, partying, getting in some obscene hours. So the Christmas, I need it to be done with, to be honest, all this festiveness, because I've got too much excuses why I don't need to be in the gym. I'm just waiting for 2020 to kick off and then I can push on.
Well, as a post-Christmas treat, out in Atlanta, we had Gervonta Davis.
Yeah.
Knocking out Gamboa. Last round. I mean, your thoughts on that fight?
Do you know what? Obviously, I don't know what. Depends what you're looking for. Obviously, if you're looking at the stats, they were saying he was throwing between 15 and 20 shots a round. Obviously, he struggled with weight. Didn't make weight the first time. And what you got is Gamboa, who's former Olympian, world champion. He's 38 years old. A lot of people said he was chinny. But then you've got this guy who struggled with weight. It's a bit weird because he's gone up in weight and then missed weight. It's a bit baffling anyway. And he's meant to be a puncher. And, you know, Gamboa took a hell of a lot of punches in there. But yet again, I reckon if he had the other gears to go up, Gervonta, he might have got him out of there kind of thing. You know what I mean? But the work weight just weren't enough. And he got caught with some big shots in there as well. But it's interesting because he's been looking unstoppable for a while. So it opens up the division somewhat in the conversations with Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, Teofimo Lopez.
Let's go.
Lomachenko and those boys. But you know, Lomachenko's at the top, creme de la creme. But it would be interesting to see Teofimo Lopez against Gervonta. It'd be interesting to see Ryan Garcia or you know, Devin Haney. I prefer the guys who are more like punch power punchers. But look, Ryan Garcia is sharp and quite electrifying. You saw how he stopped his guy the other day. So it's interesting. I think it's an interesting division, you know what I mean? I hope Gervonta is not going the same way as Broner when he came. And once he went up, he was never the same. He was electrifying in these early divisions. And soon as he went up, he just became the shadow of the person. And then I think some of these guys, what for me happens to them, they make too much money too early and they lose their desire and hunger.
You see the chain looking mad icy?
Yeah, they do too much already, man. It's too much, man. You know what I mean? There's only one man I've seen that's really been able to do that, and that's Mayweather. You know, sleeping in silk sheets and shit with lions and all that shit and Bugattis and get out of his bed and go and perform. A lot of these boys are doing it, but they're in the clubs too much, you know. So let's see what happens, man. You know, the guys I like, so it was interesting, and yeah.
What did you make of Gervonta not making weight once again? I mean, this is a few times now before the fight.
It's just unprofessional, if you ask me, man. You know what I mean? Not being funny. This guy, like I said, he was coming up in weight. So how do you go miss weight? It doesn't make sense. You know, if you've gone up, you're saying, well, I've gone up because I think it's the best thing for me to do. This is going to be the weight where you're going to see the best of me. That professionalism. How didn't he make the weight in the gym? Didn't they see the right weight when they were the numbers in the gym? I don't understand how. And they should have weighed in the morning to know where roughly they were. I don't know what kind of team thing it is or what's going on with it. I could actually see him being probably someone who's maybe a bit dictating and they don't want to push no buttons because he's quite a live wire potentially. You know what I mean? In terms of like, hey, you're going to be out of a job. Don't back chat me. You know that? Potentially, I don't know the chat, but you know, I'm just wondering. I just don't understand how you missed weight and you've gone up. You know what I mean?
It's maybe it was a good Christmas. Maybe actually Christmas was enjoyed right before the fight.
You know, Possibly, but yeah, again, that's where the professionalism kicks in. You're a professional athlete. You pulled up in a Lamborghini. You're more concerned in pulling up in a Lamborghini than pulling up on weight. You know, that probably might be the key factor here. Walking around with ice grills, you know what I mean? Instead of being in a sauna, sweating your weight down, you know what I mean? Or going for those extra runs instead of eating more stuffing, and what's that, grits and shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say? I don't know, man. Listen, it's just only talking from the outside. It's easier talking from the outside than inside. I don't envy those boys. I don't envy having to make weight. So, you know, but that's just my opinion. We're in an opinionated sport, and these guys have got to be under the microscope, not me. So I'll go home and eat my crumble and custard later. And,
hey, I already had mine before seeing you, yeah? Look, I'm going to just ask you straight. If Gervonta fights Lomachenko, not likely, but in the next year, what happens?
Listen, that Gervonta Davis don't need to be talking about the likes of Lomachenko. He doesn't seem to have the fitness or endurance to be fighting someone like that. But yeah, again, you can have an off night. You know, I do hope that was his off night and he comes back and he does things. I don't think he needs to be fighting the Matrix, man. My man will run rings around him. He's got an engine for days. He can do the 12 rounds very comfortably. It just doesn't make sense. Obviously, Gervonta's got mad power. But yeah, again, you're talking about a man who's probably had over, what do you have, nearly 400 amateur fights, seen every conceivable style possible, every puncher. And he was in there with the Axeman, who was a big puncher. Even though they brought the Axeman down in weight and the Axeman was off 2 years, there's loads of factors in that fight against the Axeman where they called him at the right time. I think the Axeman didn't do himself no justice, probably back in Jamaica, jerking one pork and smoking on one bongo or something, you know what I mean?
But Nicholas Walters, yeah.
Yeah, Nicholas Walters. He didn't do himself any favours, man. I was a big fan of his, man. And sometimes, you know, some people, obviously money, you're here for money, for real, so I get it. But I think if you kind of have desires and grand expectations of yourself doing anything, sometimes you've got to look at the fights and say, these are the fights. The fights you don't take are the ones that get you to where you need to be. You can't look at certain things and say, I've been off 2 years, I'm going to go and challenge one of the best that's ever done it. That was a wrong move for Nicholas Walters anyway. But I think Gervonta Davis, he needs to continue working, and he needs to forget about my man for a bit. Maybe they need to hire someone else, spend less money on Lambos and in the clubs, and hire a strength and conditioning guy, and they're going to get you on weighing time, and they're going to get you throwing a lot more punches. I saw someone say something like this seemed like heavyweights in there, you know, in terms of the punch output, you know. So you know, you could tell it was low because the commentating was kind of saying so. But listen, it is what it is. If he's had an off night because of Christmas, who can begrudge him of that? It's an ugly win is better than a pretty loss, as I always keep saying.
Well, I think since I last spoke to you, we had the small matter of the Gypsy King, Deontay Wilder. It's official, baby, February the 22nd, out in Viva Las Vegas. Obviously expected announcement. Would you make of this announcement, and are you looking forward to the rematch?
You know, I think we've all been looking forward to it somewhat, to kind of put this matter past us and open up the division and see where the WBC belt is going to lie after all the dust has settled. Wilder dealt with Ortiz in emphatic fashion again, even though he was losing, getting outboxed, but then obviously that kryptonite is going that right hand that baptizes people. He managed to pull it off like he does as always, you know. Then you got Fury that managed to get away with Otto Wallin, the cut and all those other stuff. Now he comes back, and I hope he does it, you know. I hope he goes out there and rightfully gets the win he deserved the first time. But yet again, he's doing it in their backyard, he's doing it the hard way, he's doing it against all the odds with all the judges, with the WBC.
I'm a fighting man.
He's a fighting man, as he says, man. Shit. So, let's see what happens, man. Hopefully he does it, he brings the belts back to the UK. I've got a feeling they might do a trilogy, you know. Yeah. That's what a lot of people are saying. So what we're looking at, so if they do that, they could do it in
the summer.
In the summer.
That's the
June, July, or it could be September. Let's see what happens. It's interesting times though, obviously, because Dillian's there waiting in the wing, and if they do it in then you might see them trying to do a unification, maybe September, December. I don't know. It's a bit tight. If not, then they might say, well, we'll do the Dillian fight in September or October, November. And it's just one of those. So we've got to look at the landscape. But hopefully he brings the belts back. There's Anthony Joshua. I don't know if that's a great matchup for Joshua, really. But the moving Joshua, what we saw the other day, it might be an interesting fight because obviously he's moving, very, very well, as we saw in that fight. But
yeah, to be fair, I watched that fight again the other day, and if you look at it from a boxing perspective and you break it down, Joshua's doing some really good things in that. Watch it like properly and stuff like that. The head movement, the moving around the ring, working the lines. Sweet science. Literally, it was sweet science when you watch it properly.
But you know what? If you go back, how much times did I tell you? For him to win this fight, what style did he need to adapt? We can go back in any of these podcasts or any interviews I've said. You cannot go head on into a collision course if someone has something. What's the word can I say in this? So what I'll say is, I believe Ruiz is probably a better inside fighter and a fighter than Joshua, and Joshua has the other athleticism, and he's probably more of an athlete in terms of look and appearance. He's got the power, but sometimes you don't need to go head on into collisions with people. You wouldn't bring bloody more fire to a fight party. You try and bring water to douse it out and get the move forward and past them flames. So I just think, and that was the right thing for him to do. Box long, hold when he needed to. And just keep it there, and like I said, go back again and check the tapes. Be done with this guy. He is not the guy you need to keep coming back and facing. You know what I mean? Unless you're going to keep doing that fight and stinking out the face. I'm not sure if people want to see that long. They don't want to see. They want to see devastating Joshua that puts it on the line and risks his potential to get knocked out and trying to knock people out. You get what I'm trying to say?
Andrew Ruiz, on that topic of Andrew Ruiz Jr., out in Saudi, we were with the trainer, Manny Robles.
Yeah, Manny Robles.
And we talked about a potential fight between Dillian Whyte and Andrew Ruiz Jr.
Yeah.
Since that time, right?
It's been rolling.
You seen like what the talk is out there?
Yeah, no, it's been rolling.
Yeah, they're talking about that fight.
Now listen, anyone's going to talk about the fight. If you look at the fight stylistically, those two guys match up extremely, extremely well. Styles.
Yeah, you would swipe right with that fight.
Listen.
Yeah. You get the punchline. Swipe right.
Come on. But check this though.
Yeah.
I am a man. I'm into the management game now, and I look at it different. Dill is the can man, and he loves this game. He likes to fight everyone and call people out. But what I look at is the table. Andy Ruiz made 18 million, or is it 80 million over those two fights?
Around that figure.
Yeah, so he's made his pot of gold. You know what I mean? Obviously, Dill's done well at boxing. He's made quite a lot of money doing what he's done. And Andy Ruiz is made history, the first Mexican heavyweight champ. So he's had his limelight. He's had his 2 world title shots. And we're probably in the region of 1,000 days and counting, 900 days and some counting, where Dillian still hasn't had his shot.
To this day.
Till this goddamn day. So, when you look at that, I look at all that build-up and accumulation, and it's a very, very dangerous fight. And then what you got to look at is Andy Ruiz has just come off a loss, a career-defining loss. He didn't perform in terms of, he didn't show up. He was 2 stone heavier than he was the last time he fought. He's going to come even bigger and better than he was. Because of the loss, he's going to try and bounce back. So he's going to be better and more determined. So you're going to have someone who's going to be up for it more than they should be. They're going to have that bit between their teeth. So I think for me, if you look at it, I'd look at it like, okay, you've had your shots. He's probably going to train harder than he's ever. He's going to come in on weight this time. He's going to be 17 stone something. He'll try and come in slim and ready to say, you know what, I deserve another chance at a world title. So that's what he'd be coming to do, Nick Dill's position. And that's what he feels. So I feel like, if you're smart, you'd go out there and pick someone who matches the people, you're trying to fight. Everyone cussed, what's his name, Swartz. Everyone cussed Otto Walling, but those are the guys still, and they were headline shows in Las Vegas. Tyson Fury picked and went out there. Those guys are all 6'6" plus. Those are the kind of guys Dillian needs to be fighting to get him prepared for the likes of Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, the giants of the division. If it ain't those guys, you need to be looking in that region, because you need to start getting comfortable with being in there with tall guys, and you finding that range and finding the distance on how you want to fight a 6'6" person. Until you go in there and fight with them, you don't know. Obviously, he had a hard fight against Marius Whyte the other day. You know, Whyte came in on song, like you said. You know, they said he'd been training for 3-4 months before. That's probably the best Whyte we're ever going to see. You know what I mean? He was fully prepared to try and nick the position. He's got a hell of a chin. He took some big shots, and he done well. He went the distance, and they both done that. We know that's not Dillian at his best, but he can come again. But I feel he needs to look for someone who's tall, you know, who's going to come and have a go, but then he can use boxing ability, you know, plan stuff and just practice stuff, preparing for the likes of Fury and Wilder. You know, sitting on the ropes, catching these shots and countering, and kind of working out how to hold these taller fighters. You know, so I don't know. It's interesting, but you know, listen, money talks and bullshit walks, man. If the money's right, I think these guys. Listen, Dill's rare and he's ready. He's of the belief he can smash anyone and beat anyone. You know, so. That's for him and the team to kind of look at. But if it was me, I'm talking I'm talking as a manager's perspective of looking at fighters and the right steps to take. Not to say if they take the fight it's a wrong step, but I just feel at the end of the day, where you are, you're close to your shot. You should try and be smart enough to see out your first world title shot and box clever and pick the right fights to get you fully capable and prepared. When you step in the ring, you're prepared to take the belt from the champion, whoever that champion may be at the time.
Would you make the speculation that Daniel Dubois is going to fight Joe Joyce first?
It's absurd.
And then there's talk that he's after Dillian Whyte right after.
It's ridiculous. Listen. At the end of the day, it's just, I don't know what to say. Listen, at the end of the day, they got to push their man. Daniel Dubois is a very good talent. They're pushing him right. How do you go from the likes of Fudgy Motor or Computer Game or whatever he is in Japan, whatever he is, and getting plasma-tomed or whatever? He went down like a sack of shit, fighting him, and then you're talking about the likes of Dillian Whyte, who's #1 in the WBC ranking and high up in the world ranking and all that. He just fought for a British title. It's kind of a bit cringy if you ask me. But not to say, listen, if he pop bops you on the chin, you know what I mean? You're going to be in banging trouble because he's a big old lump, Daniel Dubois. But he's still early, he's still green. I think those kind of fights, there's too much experience there for him. It's not going to be. He's not going to. It's not going to be the fight he's looking for. It's going to be right on his chest. It's going to be mulling. Even Chisora, it's going to be hard. It's going to be mulling. And I think he's good from a distance. He's not going to be able to fight that kind of fight he thinks he's going to throw his 1-2. I think it's just long. It just doesn't make any sense. But listen, that's their guy. They're campaigning him and they're pushing him. Listen, you got to push your pride and joy and say all kind of things because you got to talk it into existence. You know what I'm trying to say? So it's just one of them. But Daniel Dubois by no means for me is near ready for the top boys just yet. I'm not even saying he's that far off. I don't know, because who's in the British level domestically who's going to be trying to challenge him? You've got Joe Joyce, who's probably got one of the best resumes of a heavyweight, who's fought, what is he, at 12, 13 fights. He's got a hell of a resume. He has fought a lot of top boys kind of. But yet again, sometimes you can catch people at the right time. But credit to him and his team, Sam and them, they're doing a tremendous job. That would be an interesting fight with those two down the line as well. But I still think Joe Joyce for me is a little bit ahead of him. Obviously he's fighting, look, he just fought for the British, he's fighting for the European. It's not much in it. But obviously, you know, they're trying to go to world stage or whatever. But look, they're calling out that fight now. Let's see how that fight takes a turn, because he's talking about fighting this and that, man. Who said he's getting past Joe Joyce? We're going to see who is the pride and joy of Frank Warren and Queensby boxing after those two kind of fight, you know what I mean? But one thing for sure I'd say is that Joe Joyce doesn't want to stand in the front of them kind of meat wagon shots. He's got a hell of a chin, but he doesn't want to be in the front end of that right hand too much. You know, he does sometimes take a little bit on the whiskers too much.
Oh man, Dean Whyte, it's been a pleasure as always.
As always, man. Listen.
Any New Year's resolutions before we duck out?
I don't know, man. Listen. Happy New Year's to the fans. Hope you guys had a good Christmas. Big up yourself. I'll catch you at the fights. New Year's resolution. Until New Year's Day, I'm going to drink myself silly. And then I'm going to try and lose some weight, man. Shit. You know what I mean? I'm gonna party like it's 1999. No old school things. Some of these people weren't even born, but hey, listen, it is what it is. Happy New Year, guys. You know, tune in, log in for more content, pro beats. And in the new year, the Double D podcast possibly. Let's see, man, you know what I mean? Tune in for the news for Dillian Whyte's comeback. Hopefully we should have some news over the next coming weeks. And let's just see, man. You've got Shaq and Pitters versus Craig Richards in for the British title. There's loads of things to look forward into 2020. But let's see you on the other side first, innit? You know how that goes.
Now to shout my guy out.
Bless up, man.
Mr. Dean Whyte. Pep Talk
Yes,
UK. My guy.